presentation?
You can.
Okay, so if we go to the first slide. And press slideshow and play. Slideshow and play on the top bar. There we are, slideshow. Okay, everybody, so welcome to How to Write Cold Emails Pipeline. My name is Rod Sloane. So if we go to the next slide. Next slide. Okay. All right. So welcome wherever you are. I'm glad you're here. We've had a few hiccups, but that's okay. So greetings. Thank you. So here's a sort of overview. This webinar is how to write cold emails that boost your sales pipeline. Sponsored by GBNTC. I'm the speaker. My name is Rod Sloane. I'm the founder of the Sales and Marketing Alignment Group. And if you need to contact me after this webinar, then there is my email address, rod@rodsloane.co.uk. rod@rodsloane.co.uk. So a bit about me. That's my picture. Okay, if we go to about me again. Next slide. So I'm the UK country manager for Predictable University. Predictable University is a system that takes the techniques from the book Predictable Revenue and offers a 4-week training. So if you come across that, it's excellent training. Well, I would say that, wouldn't I? I've worked in sales and business development for IBM Computer Associates, British American Tobacco and British Telecom here in the UK. What people seem to be fascinated by is that I lead 2 LinkedIn groups with over 200,000 members. So if you run groups on LinkedIn, I encourage you to do that and make it about your expertise, not about you. So the group is not called Rod Sloane, it's called Sales and Marketing Alignment. And last year I ran the most viewed Bright Talk marketing webinar, Bright Talk, or a webinar platform that I go to meeting. I'm married, I live in London, I play tennis badly, and I support Blackpool FC, a wonderful football club. So here's 2.5 books that I wrote. The first one, 121 Marketing Ideas to Grow Your Small Business. The second one, they're an extreme right, my sort of magnum opus. It's all here in black and white, alignment, the secret to getting your sales and marketing teams together. And a little over 8 years ago, I created a course, How to Barack Obama Your Business. Yes, I turned the President of the United States into a verb. So that is online training. So that's a little bit about me. Next. Next. Okay, so those are my books. Go back 1 slide, please. I'd encourage you to read this book, Predictable Revenue, by Aaron Ross and Mary Lou Tyler. It's a powerful book, came out about five years ago. You can buy it on Amazon. They won't deliver it to you, then get the Kindle version and you can read that on your Kindle or on your smartphone. Inc. magazine called it the Sales Bible of Silicon Valley, and it really is a powerful book. It talks about how Aaron, when he's working at Salesforce, added an extra 100 million into their sales pipeline. So a lot of the stuff we're talking about is referenced in that book. I would encourage you to go out and buy a copy, but we're not here to sell books today. So next slide, please. So today I want to take you through some metrics to manage your sales pipeline, some best practices for encouraging a response to your email, How to engage prospects in your email, that's key, because most people get a lot of email. I'm sure you do. Ways to structure your content for maximum impact, that's key. And some low-cost tools to making your email easier. There's nothing particular you have to go out and buy and invest in. You probably have all these tools lying around on your machine already. So imagine you had only one metric to manage your own or your sales team performance. What would you choose? Which would you choose? I've already given you one thing to measure your success. And this question was answered by Lee Levitt, who worked at Oracle. And Lee said this: it's easy. Pipeline coverage is a canary in a coal mine. It gives you advance notice that things are changing. Pipeline coverage is the amount of business in your pipeline relative to your quota for the period. On average, organizations run a pipeline coverage ratio of 3-to-1. So let me just repeat that last sentence there that Lee said. On average, organizations run a pipeline ratio of 3-to-1. So what that means is, if you want to do $1 million, €1 million, £1 million sales, you would need, according to Lee, £3 million in your forecast, £3 million in your pipeline. Now, unfortunately, that's the good news, because I'm going to share some rather more shocking news than that with you next. So next slide. However, the problem is 80% of your forecast will say no to you. So by forecast, I mean people who you are actively talking to who are interested in buying your products or services. 80% will say no. They'll do their own thing. It'll get deferred. They'll buy from the competition. Things will get delayed. I'm sure you wouldn't, but occasionally I mess deals up. We mess deals up. So all those things can happen. So that's why 80% of the people who you think have a good chance of buying from you won't. So the conclusion I draw from that is your sales pipeline is too small. You need to increase it by a factor of 5. Multiply it by 5. Now you're probably thinking, Rod, how can I do that? That's what you need to do. So here's my quote. You want a sales pipeline coverage of 5-to-1, not 3-to-1. That should be your goal. Right? So look at your sales pipeline there. If I spoke to you and said, show me your forecast, what would it be compared to the time period we're measuring against? So next slide. Because things will go wrong. You'll find out you're talking to somebody who'll say one thing, yes, we're going to do this, and then they don't. You're talking to somebody who you think is the most important person in the business, and suddenly they need authority from somebody else. So things go wrong. And rather than beating yourself up and saying, oh, that's awful, and, you know, just have more opportunities in your pipeline is the easiest way to cover that. So if we can go back to the webinar, it would be good. So as I said, if you have any questions, drop me an email. My email address is rod@rodsloane.co.uk. rod@rodsloane.co.uk. I'm based in London. If you're in the Gulf somewhere, then you're 2 hours ahead of me, in effect. You might say, Rod, we're years ahead of you, but just for the sake of this, you're 2 hours ahead of me. So anytime from 9:30 in the morning your time, I should be able to pick up what you're doing. So this is looking promising. It looks like we're going back. Yes, we're going back to slide 13. Okay, so whatever you're doing to generate business, whether it's webinars like this, whether it's cold calling, picking up the phone, whether it's referrals, you're waiting for things to come in, whether it's inbound marketing, that probably won't be, even all of that won't be enough to generate more opportunities for you. So if we go to the next slide, bear with us, we're having a few hiccups. Bear with, as Miranda says, we're having a few hiccups here. So there is only one tactic, in my opinion, and this is only my opinion. You can contradict me, but I'm right and you're wrong without being too arrogant about it. Only one tactic is proven to generate the number of opportunities you need for this 5-to-1 coverage. And that tactic is, not on the next slide, the tactic is a simple proven tactic that works, and it is cold emailing. So by cold emailing, I mean somebody who's not expecting your email receiving it. So these are some stats from August 2014. This is B2B marketers, business-to-business marketers, most popular lead generation channels. This comes from marketingcharts.com and their sources, chief marketer. And there you can see the #1 tool back in August 2014 for B2B marketers was email, way ahead of other stuff. Way ahead of, much higher than webinars. So that's August 2014. If we go on to the next slide, you can see going forward to 2 years later, November 2016, email marketing is still #1. 88.6% say that's their primary way for acquiring customers. Now, here's interesting. Those stats on the right say actually word of mouth is very profitable as well, and so is SEO. So although I'm saying email marketing is important and you should be doing it, I'm not saying everything else is nonsense. So next slide. Next. So this is going through to this year, February 2017. Channels driving leads. Just go back a second, please. Channels driving leads and revenue for, this is US business-to-business marketers. And this makes sense for business to business, but I've seen Sony talk about this when they're talking about selling Beyonce CDs. So email works for Sony and Beyonce as well, apart from Rod Sloane and Predictable University in the UK. I don't know, I don't believe I just created a link there to Beyonce, but there we go. So you can see email is still the #1 activity and works best. So if we go on to the next slide, please. But what I'm saying there's not just one way to do this. One way would be the wrong way. So don't think, Rod's told us we've got to do email marketing. We're going to drop everything else now and just do cold emailing. I'm not saying that. If you go to the next slide. If you go to the next slide. No, I missed the slide there, I think. Yeah. So this slide is very important. And I don't know why that's come through, that graphic in the back. A bit messed up there, but I'm saying here, you should do what's there in the top left-hand corner. You should do social. You should be on Facebook, on Twitter, on Flickr. Most importantly, if you're on business to business, you should be on LinkedIn. Also, you should be doing cold emailing. And also, you should be doing, as that lady's doing in the bottom left-hand corner there, picking up the phone and calling people. If you ignore everything I say on email marketing today, the one thing I would encourage you to do is pick up the phone and call more people. I get plenty and plenty of cold emails. I get very few cold calls or calls. And those that do aren't very good. So on to the next slide, please. So here's a picture. It's not quite of me. I don't have a typewriter next to quite to my desk. But if this was me, that's the slogan I'd have on my wall. Prospecting energizes you. Make those calls. Pick up the phone and call people. It will really test your message more than anything else. So next slide. And I like this picture. So here's a picture of the space shuttle when it's taking off. And think of all the energy and innovation and hard work that has to go in to produce that result there of liftoff. This is going to take work from you. It's going to take energy. It's going to take innovation. And most importantly, it's going to take hard work. So this is not some just quick click your fingers and everything works okay. This is going to require work from you. So next slide. Next slide. So the question I would be asking if I was you is, does this work? Is it worth the effort? You know, obviously it was worth the effort, the space shuttle. Is it worth the effort? So let me share with you, these are some stats that I was using. This was from a couple of years ago. And these are stats. Remember, this is not mass mailing. This is not sending out 500, 600 emails a day on, glossy HTML. This is much more refined than that. So as you can see, in May there, I sent out 932 emails. I got 58 responses. And responses might be, hey, Rod, that's good, to, hey, Rod, please go away and never speak to me again. You will get those sort of responses. So my daily response rate was 6%. I tweaked a bit. I sent fewer emails out in June. I got more responses. I doubled my response rate. So, and then in July, I tweaked again and I increased my response rate again to 14%. So all the time, this is tweaking, this is finessing emails. And you can see my numbers went down in the sense of the total emails that I sent out. So that's what I encourage you to do. So those are my stats. That proves that it works. So my goal was simply to add more quality opportunities to my sales pipeline. You might not call it your pipeline. You might call it your spreadsheet or your dashboard or your forecast. So the question, what do you want? And I just want to write that down. First, to say to you, what do you want more of? It's going to help your business. How would you answer that question? So next slide. So things people often ask me is, do I have to be a skilled writer to get what I want? Do I have to be a skilled writer to get what I want? And I would categorically say no to that. Think like you're writing to a 10-year-old or 12-year-old. So here's a picture of two gentlemen, very famous writers. On the left there is Ernest Hemingway, bashing away on his typewriter. And on the right there is Charles Dickens, famous for Oliver Twist and The Christmas Carol and David Copperfield. Now, if you go back, please, a second. If you go back to the previous slide, that's what, previous slide, please. Yeah, the one of Dickens. So most people think you have to be like Dickens. Dickens used lots of adjectives. It's very descriptive, very powerful. But I want it to be more like Hemingway. So Hemingway wrote in very short, simple sentences. He was criticized at the time for writing almost in a simplistic way. But now he's seen as one of the most powerful writers of the last century. So write more like Hemingway. Next slide, please. So here's a quote from Hemingway. Write hard and clear about what hurts. Write hard and clear about what hurts. And about what hurts, I would say, is what hurts for your customers. What hurts for your prospects when they don't achieve what they want. So write about your customers. Don't write about you. Don't write about how wonderful you are, how wonderful your organization, how great. You don't care how great Rod Sloane is. You don't care. What you care about is whether I can help you at all achieve your goals and the pain in not achieving those goals currently. So keep it simple, keep it direct, and keep it unadorned. And by unadorned, I mean few adjectives. Hey, I'm Rod Sloane, and I'm a world-class enterprise, point-to-point. Nobody cares about all these adjectives you put in. Keep it simple. Next slide, please. Okay, so your enemy is either people have no interest in what you offer. You send them too complex a message. You know, you send an email that goes on and on and on and on, and that it gets caught up in the spam filters. So here's a quote from Richard Branson, who runs Virgin. Go back to the previous slide, please. And Branson says, complexity, too complex a word for me to say, complexity is your enemy. Any fool can make something complicated. It is hard to make something simple. It is hard to make something simple. And you want your emails to be simple because you want it to be easy for people to respond. So next slide, please. So the old mantra, keep it simple, stupid. KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Right, and you know that's a good thing to have all the time. So here is an anatomy of the email that I would suggest you send out. It's only got 4 parts. 1, the subject line. 2, the name. 3, the main body. And 4, the signature. That's all you're sending out. And when people send me samples of their emails, they normally get all 4 of those wrong, believe it or not. So keep it simple, keep it direct, and keep it unadorned. Next, please. So I want to share with you some examples of what I think are particularly weak emails. These are emails that I have received. Next, please. Okay, so here's one that I got. It said, hello, didn't mention my name. Hello, I just discovered this and suggest you see this immediately. There are over 16,000 woodworking plans that come with step-by-step. And he goes on and he goes on about this, why this is so cool. Cool thing is, cool. And he goes on some bullet points. You'll love it. Okay. So apart from the fact this is about woodworking, and I have no interest in woodworking, I don't know why I was sent this. And you know, the name was wrong. There's far too much in it. He uses very street language like cool. Cool thing is, don't put words like that, I would suggest, in your business communication. And then phrases like you'll love it. No, I don't. I think it's, I hate it and I will love it. So next slide, please. Okay. Here's one that people encourage you to send out. It's got a subject line there. Just gave you a call and left a voicemail. Hi, Rod. Must have missed you. I just left a voicemail on yourself. Please shoot me an email or call me back when you get a chance. Blah, blah, blah. The phone number. That's not a real phone number, obviously, by the way. So this is where you're saying to people, I didn't get hold of you. Call me. I think it's incredibly lazy and arrogant, and I wouldn't respond to that. And I don't encourage you to send out emails like that. Next, please. So here's another one I got from this lady called Mildred Cook, rather. And it starts, greetings for the day, whatever that means. Hope you are doing great. Maybe I'm not. My name is Mildred Cook, and I'm a website consultant. Wow, isn't that fantastic? I found your email account online. I would like to do this. So let's skip that first paragraph. It just goes on far too long. The second paragraph. This is not like one of those foreign emails you probably get in your inbox every day. Just to be upfront, we have experienced the skilled SEO and website development team. They are committed to perform white hat SEO activities. So she's trying to sell me two things here. One is SEO and one is website development. So here's where, apart from the very strange way that Mildred starts this email, greetings for the day, not even mentioning my name, I'm talking about her, don't offer two things with your email. Offer just one thing. Keep it simple, stupid. Next slide. So if you thought that was bad on the email, this is what Mildred's email looked on my phone. And remember, more and more people now are reading your emails on their phone, and all they see is a wall of text. And a wall of text that, if they're kind, they'll say, I'll get round to that later. But if they're unkind, they'll just go delete, not respond. Next slide, please. So if I was to rewrite that email for Mildred, this is what I would come up with. The subject line would be more website leads. Salutation, Jack. Can you direct me towards the person responsible for your SEO and website? And that's who I am. That's not a URL. And by the way, even that's weak, because I'm asking there for two things. Can you direct to the person for SEO or website? But that simple email will get more response. And if there's just one page you take example of, take that. Nice and simple. Ask one question. Imagine if you bumped into my senior person in a company you wanted to deal with, and he said, right, you've got one question to ask me. What is it? What question would you ask them that it could help you with? Can you point in the direction of the person who buys my stuff? That's basically what you're asking. Next slide, please. All right. So that's what my email looks like on a phone. And I took that, I photographed that from my phone. Nice and easy. You might say, well, yeah, you're sending emails to important people. If they get through, and that's an if, they're likely to read them on that. Now, that headline could be better. The question could be simpler, but that is the model I want you to think about. A simple email. You might think, oh, Rob, that is so rude. Just asking one question, not explaining who you are. People don't have time. People don't care about who you are. They need to ask them a question they feel comfortable answering. And as you can see from my stats, over 10% of people who get to my email gets to respond to that type of email. It's called a referral email. Next, please. So that's how to write the email. Keep it simple. What is your one-line question you need to ask? That's what you need to do. Keep it simple and short. Text only. No HTML. HTML will get you blocked. Just keep it simple. Keep it matter of fact. Keep it crisp and businesslike. Make it about one thing only. Preferably just one sentence. Make that sentence a question. And it's a go back to that previous slide, please. Can you go back? Make it about one thing only. That one thing, and make it something they can understand. So you say sell something very, very technical. What does that mean for the business? Right? I sell decoding, encryption, data, GDPR, but SaaS in the cloud. Okay, what does simply people won't know what that means? What does it mean in simple terms? What does that mean for the business? And make it mobile friendly. Here's a tip: send the email you're going to send out to yourself first on your phone. Do you like the look of it? If it goes over one page, it's too long. Simple is better. Shorter is better. Next, please. So what tool do you need to send this out? Next slide, please. Okay, all I use is Sales Navigator. Go back, please. Back slide, please. All I use is Sales Navigator, which is the paid for option on LinkedIn. And that allows me, and that's how I get my searches. So I will search for CEOs of companies that employ between 50 and 100 people within an hour, let's say 50 miles of London. Because if I want to go and see these people, I don't want to travel for days on end. There's enough people here. So what is your target area? You can search for those people on Sales Navigator, and then you can use, this is all legitimate, a tool like Sales Intelligent or Get Email to go and then scrape those email addresses. Very easily done. That's how I do that. Next slide, please. So how much new qualified pipeline do you need this month? That's what Homer is asking you. Remember what we said earlier? Next slide, please. Homer's moved a bit, but that number is 5. How much qualified pipeline do you need this month? Multiply it by 5. That's what you really need. How are you going to increase that by 5? How are you going to do it? How would you do it if Homer worked for you? How would you do it so everyone in the company can contribute? Next slide, please. And remember, this is the same is be said by Charles Wong, who is the founder and CEO of Computer Associates. August 2017 is the most important month, in the most important quarter, in the most important year in your company's history. JFDI. JFDI. The JDI is the old a Nike slogan, just do it. F, we have a phrase in the UK called flipping. Just flipping do it. Or whatever it is. Any expletive you want to put in there. Just do it. Come on. This needs to be done. This is work. If you're going to blast off the shuttle, if you're going to go to the moon, this takes work, this takes energy. It's not something you can mess about with. Next slide, please. Okay, so if you have any questions, how do you do this, when, where, why, what, now's the great time to ask them, to get them in. And, along with my colleagues there over at GBN TC, we'll try and answer those. And if we go to the final slide, please. One last slide. So if you have any questions, now's the chance to ask them. If you can connect with me on LinkedIn as well. My name is Rod Sloane, Rod S-L-O-A-N-E. I think I'm the only Rod Sloane on LinkedIn, which is handy to have. So if we have any questions, I can now take them.
Thank you very much, Thank you for such a fascinating webinar. Folks, we are now open for the question and answer. If you have any question, You can either put it in the question box given in the end of the webinar console, or you could equally raise your hand by clicking on the hand icon available on the webinar console. So let me go straight to the question box. Ms. Rod, here we have a question for you, that is, what are the steps we can take to improve our emails open rate and our response rate?
Is that question on one of the, can I see that question?
Yes, sure. Let me share it with you via chat.
I can't see the question. So.
Please hold on. Yes.
Okay, so the question is then, what are the steps we can take to improve our emails open rate and our response rate? Okay, well, so you can do the things that I talked about in the previous webinar. The key thing really is that subject line. Keep the subject line simple. And you need to test. So I use a particular subject line all the time. You could test, you know, whatever you're selling, how does that improve somebody's business? How does it improve their life? What does it do for them? So if you make something quicker or safer or faster or cheaper, you can put that in your subject line. Want to improve your, I don't know, your stock supply, or want to improve your websites, or whatever it is that you do. So response rate is, subject line is simple, because that's all they see. And then keep it simple, because people can see often now, they can preview the email panel. So make sure you get to the point. Don't waffle. Waffle is an English phrase that means don't, you know, put in stuff that's not necessary. Get to the point. Be crisp. Be businesslike. Are you looking to invest in improving your XXX? Who should I speak to about XXX? XXX being what you sell or market. But write it from the customer's point of view, not from your point of view. Keep it simple. Keep it mobile friendly. Right. If you just do those three things, you will be different to virtually everybody else who's sending out emails. Okay, any other questions?
Yes, we have another one, that is, how different email marketing providers may generate different number of responses.
How different email marketing providers may generate. Okay, if you mean by a provider, what system, don't fully understand the question. If you want to rephrase the question, that might be a good idea. Try ask it. Could you ask that question again, please, and try saying it in a different way? I'll try and answer it in the way I think what you've written, but I may be wrong here, so apologies if I get this wrong. I simply use Gmail to send out what I do, and I send out a maximum of about 80 emails a day, and that's far too many, I think. I encourage people to send out about 50. But the reason I'm sending out quite a lot at the moment is it's summer here in the UK. Quite a lot of people are away. So that's part of the reason I'm doing that. But you could send out far less than that. It doesn't matter what you use, whether you use Gmail, whether you use Outlook, whether you use an email provider like, I would do it like that. What you want is people to think this is a personal one-to-one email. If it looks like a mass mailing, if it looks like marketing, you are failing. Keep it simple. Imagine you're writing to imagine I said to you, you know, your services, you should sell them to my friend down at British Airways. Write a letter to my friend at British Airways. What would you say? Keep it simple. Next, please. Next question.
We have another one from Brother Abdul Moti Asaka. He's asking, is it good idea to make Google form response linked? Is the guy is insisted in my product and service?
No, I think that's a bad idea. Okay, I would not do that. I would keep. I'd follow the formula that I gave you, but I add a caveat or maybe an exception to this, and this is it. This is my opinion, right? The only reason my opinion has any validity is I spend a lot of time doing this. So I'm probably a little bit more experienced doing this than you are. But take what I say, take what you say, and go out. There's only one answer to all these questions, really, which is test. You're always testing. I'm always testing. Aaron Ross is always testing. Okay, so I wouldn't. You can put things. I know people. I'm not a great fan of putting things like video links or GIFs, but I know certain people who do that and do that successfully. So take your model, a base model and simple model, and try that. And then when you get a certain percentage response rate, say you get it above 10%, say, okay, I've got 10% with this model that Rod's talked about. Let's see if I try something different. Will I get a better response? And if you get a better response, then do that. I'm all for being practical. I'm all for getting results. This is not some sort of doctrine where you have to follow these strict rules. What you have to do, though, is do it and test. Any other questions?
Have the last one, that is, what's the one of the biggest indicators of a spam email?
Sorry, repeat the question, please. What's the one of the biggest indicators? One of the biggest indicators of spam email is what I talked about earlier, which is a lot of usage of adjectives. So if you talk about free, if you talk about money, if you use words like adjective in a world class or fantastic, don't use those. Actually, if you just Google that, there's lists of words you shouldn't use in emails. So free is a good one. It'll get picked up by the spam filter. Money, all words like that that are overused and used by people who are sending out thousands and thousands of emails. Here's what I want you to do: start keeping the emails you receive yourself or your company that you both like and dislike. And the ones that you dislike, look at it and take the emotion out of it and just think, what are they trying to do here? What have they done? Oh, they've done that. So I'm not going to do that. And the one that I like, what has he or she done in the one that sent me that he liked? It's called a swipe file, and all marketers do it. Keep a swipe file, stuff you like and stuff you dislike. And obviously what you want to do, you want to emulate, you want to model, you might call it copy or steal. We want to take what the people who do it well and make them your model or your example. And hopefully I've given you a model or example of an email you should use today and several examples of ones that you shouldn't. My concluding remark is, if you want to, you don't have to wait for ages to do this. You don't need anybody's permission to do this. Okay, if you're working in a company, you might say to your boss, this is what I'm thinking of doing. Go and buy the book, Predictable Revenue, if you haven't bought that. Or go to YouTube and watch some of the videos there. Take a look at that. Take a look at, if you Google me, and I can send you some other webinars that I've done that talk about this in more detail. But really, you don't need anybody's permission. You can do this tomorrow. You can go to your list, your email list, your contacts on LinkedIn, the people that you know, and send out 20 emails. Prospects, things that have gone quiet, send out 20. Try it. The worst you'll get is what we call in England polite indifference. You'll just get no response. You'll be ignored. Okay, so what? Doesn't matter. People don't tend to remember cold emails that they don't respond to. Some people do, There are some people out there who seem to keep track of every email they receive. I consider those people a bit odd, but try it, do it, start tomorrow, or start today, even better. Remember, this is the most important month in the most important quarter in the most important year in your company and your business's history. You don't have time to wait.